Okay, I would say this whole unit this time has so many choices, and you can mix and match anything you feel like doing. So just talk to your volunteers and just pick your few favorite things. This conclusion has a variety of choices. You could do that felt board story. You could read one of these stories. If you're like the type of person that just wants the kids to calm down and get ready to go to their next thing after Elf, a story is a great idea while they're just reading a snack, calms them down. So, or, let's see, that's the most calm option, and the felt board story. And the next one is the web of life. So this is like a 5 on the scale of
If you want to get them all riled up, huh?
So if you're into doing a 5 activity, the web of life is a predator-prey relationship, and it shows the interrelatedness of all the food webs and how one population can affect all of them. So anyway, you start out with these ID cards, and by next week I will have these on, they'll be laminated and they'll have string necklaces. And you have all different kinds of things: wheat, grasshopper, microscopic bacteria, a snake, so all different kinds of stuff. And the sun is the most important one, and they would hang it right here because the sun is the center of everything. So anyway, you pass out these ID cards, and then step 2 is you ID the food source. So if you get the rabbit card or something, you would need to ask the kids, well, what do rabbits eat? You know, and they might say grass. So there's a grass card. So then they would need to kind of eyeball somebody else in the room who's grass. So they need to find their food source, and all the kids would have these little hanging necklaces. Okay, and the little guys, you might even want to have them like go hold hands with the person that is their food source for just 1 second. Then you want to take string. And so you would give the string, no, the string would start out with the first one like the rabbit. And then the rabbit eats the grass, so they would take the string, and you're gonna have the scissors, and it's only gonna be as long as that particular food chain is. Okay, and then eventually it's gonna get linked back up to the sun. Once it gets to the sun, so like if it eats plants or whatever, and then plants get their food from the sun, it would go to the sun. Once it gets to the sun, you cut off the string. So those 3 or 4 kids are linked. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then keep building it. So then you find the next animal. What does it eat? What does it eat? What does it eat? And so you're going to have several little groups of where things are interconnected. And like I only made like 3 microscopic bacteria cards. So a bunch of kids might eventually get linked up with a microscopic bacteria or a worm or something like that. And then this is just going to illustrate how complex food webs are. And it says that the more complex a food web is, the more stable that ecosystem is for survival. And then tell the kids to keep holding their web string, and then you want to start messing with it. So you're going to act it out and say, you know, what would happen? So remove, what would happen if one thing was removed from the web? And so have that person pull on the string, and then who's affected by that? Who feels the tug of the string moving? Okay, and then eventually you'll get to where the sun pulls on the string, and there's only one sun, so like every web is going to be connected to the sun. And then if the sun pulls on it, that will affect every single person in the room will feel it, and then be like, well, and have a little discussion about that. And then you can have 1 or 2 completely drop out and talk to the kids about extinction and what happens when we lose one species or something. Who's affected by that? You could have a wildfire come in. The birds might survive, they might fly away. The trees might reseed, but then a lot of the rest of the animals might be affected. And then you could even do a thing where you remove predators. So, and then exhaust the food supply, starve, blah, blah, blah. So you can make this as intricate or as simple as you want for the age group of kids that you have. So that is like on the scale of 5 out of 10. So kind of complicated, but kind of cool at the same time. Then the last super high energy number 10 activity is food chain tag. And if you guys remember our migratory bird unit and out on the playground, them playing tag and having like the oil spill and all that kind of stuff, I mean, the kids get super crazy. And this would be one of those activities. So, so this is only for those who are willing to have a bit of chaos. Outside only, and then we can have chalk or jump ropes laid out for where the boundary lines are. So that's a great idea. You don't want them running super far when they're playing tag and stuff like that. Keep everybody kind of in a central location where you can have some control. And since this is a concluding activity, the whole class is doing it, all your volunteers are out there helping you. So, I mean, if you want to tackle it, it's a fun project. They are going to be acting out roles of plants and animals, the cyclical role in nature, and their interdependence. So you'd quickly go over the food chain, carnivores, herbivores, omnivores, and the role of consumers in the food chain. Then they're going to act out roles in the food chain tag. So you're going to have 3 students being the carnivores, okay? And they would tie this tag like around their neck, let's say, or around their arm. You can kind of decide where the best place might be for your group of kids. Okay, then you're going to have 7 herbivores. So that would be the brown bandana. And then you're going to have 15 plants. So tons of green. Okay, and then they need to determine who is their prey. So if you're a kid that has a tiger stripe, they tag the brown kids. Okay, and then go over who they are, the brown ones. And then the brown tag the green, and the green tag the tiger stripe. And once, so they run away, their lives are at stake within your boundaries, and then they'll go crazy. And then once tagged, they turn into what tagged them, so they trade bandanas. Okay? Then try to tag the prey with what their new role eats. So it's just like keeps on going and going and going. And then after you've had like 1 or 2 little switches of the bandanas, you tell everybody to freeze, and you might even tell them ahead of time that you're gonna tell them to freeze at some point so they're like ready for it. And talk about what happened to their original role and why did it change. And then an optional add-in activity towards the end is you could add in humans, and they don't have any bandanas because eventually all of them might turn into humans, and I don't have that many bandanas. And they can tag anyone, but no one can tag them. And role of humans, what happens, and talking about the overburdening of resources, and what can we do to help keep them in balance. So anyway, so your choice for the conclusion, whatever you kind of feel comfortable with your group of kids. So, does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Yeah, we don't have any snacks listed this time. That's, you know, predator prey. I guess I don't know what you want to come up with. Pretzel sticks could be bones. I don't know.
What ideas do you guys have?
Because there wasn't a really good time. I mean, the only time that would be good for a snack is if you did the felt board or the books at the conclusion. So the tag, of course, wouldn't work. Or the
but they're kind of used to having snacks. Right. I'd say they'd probably be like super disappointed.
They would be
super
super
disappointed. So come up with something.
Yes.
And if you have any good ideas of something that you came up with, shoot it to Carrie or whatever, and she'll pass it out to everybody.
Yep.
So.
And that's going to conclude our elf tonight on this snowy night. So thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you very much for coming. And if you guys want to come pilfer through the bins right now, or start deciding what center you want, or are all of you guys coordinators? Okay.
No, we're not. Very low key.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. That was awesome.
And how are you, Ace?
I can't tell.